rise, the Honorable
40 tons of steel and a heart full of grit. Whiskey in his veins, he don't give a shit. He's a truck driving son of a bitch, burning rubber till the morning comes. Rolling fast, raising hell, one step ahead of a county jail. Billy Clyde Tuggle don't back down. He takes the long way through a one-horse town. He don't need no map, don't need no plan. He'll drive through fire to stick it to the man. Steam into Spain and show you ain't standing in a tank. We'll drive to the rise of home, unless you're then burst in a storm. Restless, mean as a snake. Make sure you ain't standing in his lane. Billy Clyde Tuggle rides alone, a legend written in dust and stone.
All rise, the Honorable Billy Clyde Tuggle presiding.
All right, folks, we are live and we got big news tonight. An announcement from the Possum County Office of Commerce announces, citizens, it's come to our attention that Possum County artifacts are now available for public acquisition. Each item is handcrafted, historically inaccurate, and guaranteed to confuse your co-workers. Let's take a look. First off, we got the Possum County Honorary Citizen Certificate. Now, you can get that with an automatic instant download like this, or you can wait and have it personalized. Both options are in the store. Also, we have the same, you can get this personalized, a Possum County land deed. Your piece of land in Possum County history for your very own. It will, if you get the personalized version, we'll put your name on it, we'll put your plot number in there. Otherwise, you can get the instant download version, fill it out yourself. Now, here's the special thing. If you buy the Possum County Founders Edition bundle, you will also get the Possum County map with your plot number located in the correct spot there. We're going to start off in Possum Hollow right there in the center. In addition to that, a signed copy of a Billy Clyde Tuggle 8x10 photograph. So folks, don't miss out. Go visit Possum County Works, all one word, no spaces. Possum County Works on Etsy for your legendary artifacts from Possum County. They're handcrafted. We make them right here. You're gonna digitally download it. Otherwise, we're gonna put your name and stuff on it, and then you can download it later. But it can be either instantly downloaded if you can't wait, or we can personalize it for you. And then, like I said, if you get the bundle, you're gonna get a picture of this one right here, Billy Clyde Tuggle, and the map, which is exclusive to the bundle only, with your plot number on it. The link to the Etsy store is in the description on here if you go check that out. But it's Possum County Works, all one word, no spaces, on Etsy. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Go check those out and let us know what you think. Maybe get a couple. A lot of streamers are trying to sell you, oh, go to my merch store, and they're trying to sell you a $65 t-shirt. We're going to offer you a piece of history for the price of a cup of coffee from that well-known coffee shop where the coffee kind of sucks, but you buy it anyway because you like the logo on the cup when you get to work and you look cool. You know which one I'm talking about. For the price of a cup of coffee, you can stroll on in, lollygag on into the Possum County Works Digital Workshop and get yourself some Possum County artifacts today. Hurry on over there and get that. What else is going on today? Is there anything exciting happening in the let's close down those beautiful, I can't stand the beautiful picture of myself on the other monitor over there watching that. It's distracting even to me. Let's double check the audio. Are we doing okay? Let's do an audio check. Let's double check the audio. Yeah, we got audio. We should be doing fine. Let's see what we got. Is there anything going on YouTube with Nancy Guthrie, or what the guy's name who pushed the wife off in the bay and hit her in the head with an oar and took off? What the hell's his name? Let's see what we got over here. Let's take some shit out here. We can't be on too long tonight because it is a work night. All right, what do we got here? We got 1 day ago, 12 hours ago. Well, let's take a look at this right here. Let's just see what we got there.
Wait, how old is the new hire?
Yeah,
I don't know, but he literally used to sell.
You must be the new
get past those damn YouTube commercials. One of these days, I will pop for YouTube.
And YouTube viewers,
Let's go
I'm
over here.
super excited to bring you Drop Dead Serious.
Drop Dead
If you've been
Serious
watching my
news.
podcast
Look at my
over on Drop
my
Dead
shirt
Serious,
matches the background.
I'm bringing it to you
Oh, and we
here
got-
on News Nation as well. We've got a great collaboration
Pull out
that's
that
going,
Cobra.
and I'm super excited that we're doing this and that you're here for it. And by the way, this is only the beginning. You're going to see regular content on the News Nation YouTube channel that is Drop Dead Serious content. And by the way, head over to Drop Dead Serious and check out our merch and all of our other topics that we're covering as well. But without further ado, this is Drop Dead Serious on News Nation's YouTube channel. Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Banfield and this is Drop Dead Serious. I have some news to report to you in the Lynette Hooker case, the woman missing in the Bahamas, presumed dead, because it has been 5.5 weeks since her husband told us all this big long tale that she bounced off the back of the dinghy in rough seas. But ever since then, this podcast has found so much information that absolutely destroys Brian Hooker's story.
Brian Hooker.
Makes him out to
Couldn't
be a
think of
big
his
fat
name.
liar. So if he's lying about this terrible accident in what effectively we saw by video calm seas, what else is he lying about?
Yeah.
Today, at the Coast Guard
Crime
station
scene.
in Fort Pierce, Florida. We were able to witness agents, federal agents, getting on board Soulmate and spending hours down below, like more than 3 hours. Agents were on and off the boat and spent about 3 hours down below. Our spies were there watching and rolling video and taking pictures from the sky. And they took some important things off that boat. Like, they removed a lot of evidence off that boat. We saw a lot of it being bagged up.
I'm assuming they used a
actually
drone.
into evidence bags, that they'd set up a table on dry dock on the shore so that they could do the processing of all of the forensic material they
Let me
were
look at
taking
this.
off what is now officially a crime scene. And we can call it that. Officially now, we can call it a crime scene because there's crime scene tape that surrounds that entire boat. You can see it from the water. You can see it from the air. Soulmate is a crime scene, and it is impounded at the Fort Pierce Coast Guard Station. So basically what that means
Says
is,
12
Brian, you're not
hours
getting your
ago. I
boat back.
swear I already saw this, but
I don't think forever, personally. Look, there's all sorts of rules about holding evidence. We've got a Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure, but the key word there would be unreasonable. And once there is something that has evidentiary value, those
no, the key word is we. This happened down there. Our laws may not apply to what happened in the Bohemian Rhapsody down there. That may not mean a damn thing. That Amendment 4 search and seizure thing she mentioned.
warrants extend. You can hold that stuff. And I guarantee you,
Oh, but wait, the boat is in America now. There you go. Never mind, I was wrong. The boat is now in Florida.
that whatever judge or magistrate signed off on the warrant to search and hold that boat, I believe that's going to be held until trial. Yeah, because it's a crime scene. And you may at some point see a jury going on board for a go-see. I don't know that that's going to happen. And I'll tell you this, the big caveat. Brian Hooker hasn't been charged with any crime yet. But things don't look good for Brian Hooker. Not when the feds
Don't go to that
have
website.
your boat interdicted
Like that,
offshore,
you-
towed in. We have exclusive pictures.
They keep showing that website. Don't go to that asshole's website. Give him any monetary compensation at this point. Now, I know he's innocent until proven guilty, but bullshit. Don't go to that website and help him by giving him, 5,000 views on his YouTube channel. That's bullshit.
Of the Coast Guard towing that sailing vessel into the Fort Pierce Harbor to the Coast Guard station there, because they basically captured it offshore. A couple of delivery folks, a captain and a first mate, who were paid to bring that boat back over to America. Boy, did they get the scare of their lifetime. All of a sudden, woo, woo, woo. It literally looks like you're being pulled over on the road, but it's a boat. And there's the Coast Guard with the cherry and the siren and the big announcement, "Oh, we're boarding your boat, United States
We're gonna
Coast Guard."
board your-
And
we're
that's
gonna
what
board your
happened,
boat, sir.
When you seize a boat, that's what happens. So these guys, boy, crappy 24 hours for them. I hope they got paid in advance. But probably even worse for Brian, who was waiting to take possession of his home, the place where he's lived for 4 years on board Soulmate with his long-suffering wife, Lynette. Meantime, where is she? This is the key question. Where is Lynette Hooker? Because she did not bounce off the back of your fucking dinghy.
Whoa.
No iba, caminata de Tai Chi 7 minutos al día.
Como donde de la verga, güey. All right. Another one of those commercials. Boy, this should be a commercial for YouTube Premium.
So where is she? Yeah, there's a couple people who know. God's one of them. I can tell you what we learned today. We learned, obviously, that since crime scene tape surrounds that boat, it's officially a crime scene. We saw that with our own eyes. We saw the agents boarding that boat and disembarking and going back and forth and taking stuff off that boat. And we saw them processing it. And today we saw them photographing that crime scene. That crime scene. Now, this has been a criminal investigation for 5 weeks. Brian's story is that something happened with Lynette 1,000 yards away on the dinghy, and they never made it back to Soulmate. And he floated all the way to Marsh Harbor 4 miles away. So why do you suppose Soulmate is officially a crime scene with crime scene tape? If Brian's story is that they never got even close to Soulmate,
Doesn't look like the chat's working.
I think
right
it's
now.
because
I
the
heard
feds
it,
don't
but it
believe
didn't pop
his
up.
story. I'm pretty sure that it's a crime scene because they believe something happened on board Soulmate, not on board the dinghy. I think they believe that Brian is a liar. And so I keep saying, tick-tock. Tick-tock, Brian Hooker. Tick-tock. The feds work in different ways than the state, by the way. You all know this. If you're a true crime fan, you all know this. But I will give some reminders for those who are coming along. When the feds are on a crime and they're investigating, they often get all their ducks in a row before they go and charge, indict, jail, and then, the bail issue comes up and all the rest. In a state case, you'll often see like Kohberger. Brian Kohberger was arrested 3 months, two and a half months or so after
I was trying to mess with the chat. It ain't
his
working
quadruple murder in the University of Idaho, right?
Boy, I don't know what it is with her, but she goes on and on and on and on about Brian Kohberger. Now, Billy Clyde wasn't streaming or anything back then, so I didn't cover any of that, although I saw it myself, but she has not let it go yet.
And then they compiled the case for over 2.5 years. And there was resolution when he finally gave a plea bargain. The feds work differently. They front load the evidence. They don't kind of grab you, stick you away, and then research
Go to
and
prison,
try to,
son.
build the case and go to trial. The feds will often be ready to go to trial when they arrest you. Like,
one thing, there's circumstantial, that's easy for you to say, Billy Clyde, for fuck's sake. There's circumstantial evidence, like, the flare, the lights went on and off, the floater to shore, all that. But there is not one thing that anybody has let us know yet that would be considered evidence. Now, they're searching that boat for all weekend, I think. They've had it for a while. Maybe they got evidence they haven't talked about yet, but so far, nothing has been presented to the public that would amount to evidence.
that they're usually that secure in their investigations and their work
Look at
product.
Billy Clyde working these buttons.
And
That's
they're
like magic.
Listen, when you're facing a federal indictment, make plans. Tell your family to make plans without you, because 95+% of the time they get a conviction. The feds don't fuck around. They just don't.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's go back over here. I don't care whether it's a city, state, or federal. What they do, they load up so much shit. You're going to prison for 955 years, son, unless you plea bargain out for this 5-year sentence. Well, most people are going to take the 5-year sentence and not risk going to trial, even if they didn't do it. Like, what the hell? I'm stuck. What am I going to do? So that's the 95% conviction rate, because most of them are plea bargains. I think so. I made that shit up. I'm not sure, but it sounds good.
They have their shit in a row, all the ducks, everything's organized. And so my presumption is that because Soulmate is surrounded in crime scene tape, they believe that is a crime scene. That is where a crime was committed. As opposed to a missing person that's innocent and sad, but not a crime.
I can't find that son of a bitch.
Soulmate's a crime scene. You can see it from the air. You can see it from the water. You can see it. I think we all knew it, but it's quite something.
At 10:30, which is in about 6 minutes, I got to hit that starting soon button. And I got to go walk the dog on what we call final pee. 10:30 every night, he goes out and pisses for the last time before bedtime.
To be able to see it. Couple
Roscoe
big things you're going to
P.
see in today's
Coltrane.
episode. First and foremost, a very poignant interview with Lynette Hooker's mom, Darlene. And Darlene Hamlet has been through absolute hell for the last 5+ weeks.
Well,
First and foremost, she was told her daughter was...
Well, it's bad enough when something bad happens to somebody, a car accident or something, they pass away, and then by a week or so later, you're starting to come to grips with it, and you're getting over it all. As horrible as it is, You started down the path that you're going to someday get to where you might be okay. When somebody's missing and you don't know what the hell happened, even though you presume the worst, you don't know for sure. So this case right here, along with that Nancy Guthrie case, can you even imagine if your parent, your sister, your daughter, any loved one was missing for more than 10 minutes? What the hell? We got Nancy Guthrie out there for more than 3 months now. And this knucklehead's got his wife. He put her on the little boat, took her out in the middle, dumped her off, came back. You know he did. Hit her in the head with a fucking oar. That's why the oar's missing. But what the hell? What? The daughter and the mother of that woman got to be nuts over this. That is insane.
Missing. And then crickets. Nothing. Literally nothing from Brian Hooker.
We got one viewer, and it's me on my cell phone right there. That's awesome.
The man who swears some tragedy befell their family, but then had nothing to say to any family members. So how do you think that makes Mom feel? How do you think that makes Lynette's daughter feel? Carly Aylesworth has had crickets from Brian Hooker, too. That's awfully strange behavior for someone who swears some terrible accident happened to him in the Bahamas and he lost his wife. You'd think he'd be commiserating with her family and his family.
What the hell was going on with those lips?
Not a word. 5 weeks.
I know that ain't part of it.
So I'm going to talk to Darlene a little bit about that. Not only that, but there's a lot of stuff that Darlene told me today that I did not know about on the night that Brian Hooker swears all that bullshit happened.
You know,
yeah, pieces of his story I didn't know before, and they are pieces that do not fit. Like what he was wearing on his feet, for starters. Because that doesn't compute with what actually happened. And what happened after he washed up on shore. Because apparently he didn't go right to the boatyard. There are a few stops in between. So she's going to tell you all of that, and it's fascinating. And also,
he told somebody that he was thinking about breaking into a house so he could use the phone. He also said that, I think he said a car passed him at 4 a.m. and wouldn't stop.
Piece of information I just learned about the flares that he swore he shot off. Yeah. Darlene knows a few things about that, too. So you're going to see that exclusive interview with Darlene in just a moment.
How the hell does Darlene know that?
She
wasn't
some
there.
Incredibly poignant photographs with us from her family, her daughter and her granddaughter. Just really sweet pictures that brings Lynette to life in all of her life, not just in a few of the pictures you've seen in her boating life with Brian. Some of these pictures that Darlene was kind enough to share with us are just so incredibly sweet. And I'm seeing Lynette in a very different light, like when she was a kid with her brother, like growing up, like we all did, you know, playing with our family members in the innocent times. There's also a really sweet picture of Lynette with her dad when she was getting married. Now, I don't believe this to be the wedding to Brian Hooker. It could be. I mean, she's been married and with Brian for decades. So it's just sweet to see Lynette in such a happy day with her dad. And then some skiing pictures that are so cute as well. Lynette with her mom on skis, maybe in Michigan, maybe somewhere else, but just really happy, sweet family times. And there's a lot of pictures as well that show Lynette with her daughter, Carly, and multi-generational family pictures, which I just think are the greatest thing. You know, this is now a grandmother and a granddaughter who are missing the generation in between and the most important person in both of their lives, Lynette Hooker. And so obviously it's paramount that Lynette be found. Yes, this crime needs to be solved, and whoever did whatever to Lynette needs to be held accountable, but Lynette needs to be found as well. Yeah. And by the way, it was just
for the
Carly
mother and daughter,
Aylesworth's 29th birthday last week. So you'd think that a stepfather who was in her life from the time she was 3 would be a part of that birthday, or would reach out and say, I don't know, happy birthday. Crickets.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Yeah, that doesn't sound like somebody's
the crickets of Possum County
is accurate. Because if his story is accurate, he's a victim who needs the love of his family. Not a guy who went underground and basically walled them off, never to speak again. That is sketch. So like I said,
well, folks, I'm
I
pause
have this opportunity.
We're going to duck over here to the starting soon screen. Going to go back and pee the dog. I'll be back in a minute.
40 tons of steel and a heart full of grit. Whiskey in his veins, he don't give a shit. He's a truck driving son of a bitch, burning rubber till the morning comes. Rolling fast, raising hell, one step ahead of a county jail. Billy Clyde Tuggle don't back down. He takes the long way through a one-horse town. He don't need no map, don't need no plan. He'll drive through fire to stick it to the man. Steam into Spain and show you ain't standing in a tank. We'll drive to the rise of home, unless you're then burst in a storm. Restless, mean as a snake. Make sure you ain't standing in his lane. Billy Clyde Tuggle rides alone, a legend written in dust and stone. "40 tons of steel and a heart full of grit. Whiskey in his veins, he don't give a shit. He's a truck driving son of a bitch, burning rubber till the morning comes. Rolling fast, raising hell, one step ahead of a county jail. Billy Clyde Tuggle don't back down. He takes the long way through a one-horse town. He don't need no map, don't need no plan. He'll drive through fire to stick it to the man. Steam into Spain and show you ain't standing in a tank. We'll drive to the rise of home, unless you're then burst in a storm.
Billy Clyde is back on the air. Here we go, folks.
To speak with Darlene today. This is just a couple days after Mother's Day, which you probably, if you've seen the past episodes, Darlene was given a Mother's Day present from the United States Coast Guard. And that was the search and seizure of Brian and Lynette Hooker's 46-foot sailing sloop, their sailboat Soulmate. Yeah, grabbed off the coast of Florida and towed in to the Coast Guard dock, where it remains impounded, which means the real forensic search begins in the case potentially against Brian Hooker. So I checked in with Darlene just to see, A, what that news meant to her,
What the
B,
hell?
how she's doing now 5+ weeks into this horrible ordeal, and C, what it means that Brian has basically just gone dark. Quick note from my sponsor, spring always makes me want my home to feel a little softer, a little calmer, maybe more like a place I actually want to land at the end of a long day. And for me, bedding really does set the tone. If your sheets are scratchy or too hot or just not comfortable, you feel it immediately. That's why I love Cozy Earth. Their bamboo sheets are made from viscose from bamboo, and they are unbelievably soft, breathable, and temperature regulating, so you stay cool and comfortable all night long. Plus, you get a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. So, yes.
Well, I don't know what the
P.S.
hell's going on with the chat.
This is Cozy Earth. I'm wearing one of their hoodies
Not there's
right
anybody
now.
here
I
to chat,
absolutely
but the shit
love it.
has
It's
to
like
be
the
working.
waffle hoodie, but it's really,
I need to get off of that waffle hoodie bullshit. Well, I don't know. Nobody's on here now but me, but I get a lot of watches later on the video on demand, the VOD. Leave some comments on what your opinions. Is there anybody that thinks she just fell off the boat and drowned? I think, okay, you got an oar missing and she's missing. I think he hit her on the head with that fucking oar and that's it. And then he took her out in the ocean and dropped her out, because unless there's a grave somewhere, you think if there was a grave and that there's not that much land between all the bodies of water, and you think if there was a grave, somebody would have stumbled upon it by now, especially with all the looky-loo and the YouTube investigators that think they're real, looking for stuff. You think they would have found it by now. You know what I mean? If there was a grave. So I think she's in a watery grave. I think he did it. I think he did it with the oar, and she's out there in a watery grave somewhere. But tell me what you think. Was somebody else involved? I don't think so. She didn't run off and take off and run off with another man, because then her mom and her daughter would be, worried of that. You don't do that to people. She's not here anymore.
on this particular story. And then check out the rest of News Nation as well. Marnie Hughes does a great job. And really, you'll see a lot of the true crime stories that I do on News Nation as well. Darlene, it's been a couple of weeks since we last spoke.
That's the mom.
And boy, what a difference a few weeks can make.
Lots of changes. Yes, sir.
So the biggest one is that Lynette's
what kind of mood
boat,
could she be in?
Brian's boat, soulmate, is now in the custody of the United States Coast Guard. That must have been quite a nice piece of news to receive.
That was my Mother's Day present. Yes, that was good. Yeah.
So how much are you following along with everything that's happening, to the extent that you can?
As much as I can. So I get most of my information from the podcasts, primarily you. So, and the Coast Guard calls me on, and gives me brief updates. So,
Well, now we got.
as much
Thank
as
God.
Hold on,
Yeah.
hold
Yeah.
on a minute.
Navan, the #1 rated business travel platform.
Get rid of that damn commercial. We got a legendary guest in the chat. One and only Hooker Bitch. What's on your mind? You are live with Bailey Clyde Tuggle. Crickets. Got to get rid of this YouTube thing over here. Let's see. There we go.
Actually take into account, families and loved ones who are waiting for information. So I'm glad that the Coast Guard
Mr. Roscoe P. Coltrane had final P, and he decided he's going to stay upstairs for some reason. I don't know what he's doing. But he did not elect to go downstairs.
investigative services doing that. What are your thoughts about
The legendary Roscoe P. Coltrane, a.k.a. Mr. Litz, G Money, Gangsta D, Muji, Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Just the idea that so much is coming off of that boat. I mean, they are retrieving a lot of stuff.
Oh, that's, I was wondering how they were doing,
Yeah.
what they were doing.
So apparently the dog won't go downstairs to go to bed because he's afraid of the sound that the printer's making. Now, when I took him for a walk earlier, there were artillery shells going off, and he may not be happy about that.
But it seems that they would almost have to disassemble portions of a boat, I guess. I don't know. I don't know the process for them in that area. So,
well, I'll tell you what, the nice thing is when you see these agents getting on board, and we can see them because we've got people who are helping us get videos from all around that boat. You can see them, getting on board and carrying things off.
Oh, Roscoe P.
Lots of things,
Coltrane.
putting it into evidence bags, which is really key. I mean, when they put things into evidence bags, it means it's important and they want to protect.
Well, apparently
the chain
he
of
went
custody.
downstairs. Okay.
So that's got to feel good that at least the Americans are getting things that maybe the Bahamians didn't.
right. I'm hoping for that anyhow. I'm hoping that they share still, even that with the boat being here in the United States. I hope they still share.
How's that lady act? I know it's been a while. How is she acting normal? I would be breaking out already just talking about it.
Their information that they have with the Coast Guard. But-
Yeah, amen to that, especially the dinghy, because they're still in possession of the dinghy.
Right, they kept the dinghy, which
Yeah.
I thought that was unusual. I did.
Well, there are two people watching this stream. You and my cell phone. But typically speaking, the replay, which is called a VOD, video on demand, will get hundreds of views in the next 2 weeks. So there you go.
I don't know.
Well, at one point it was weird. I'm not going to lie. When I was in the Bahamas, and then I saw your granddaughter Carly and her boyfriend Steve there, the first thing they said to me was that the Bahamian police said you can take the dinghy, but they didn't have anywhere to take it. They didn't have a vehicle. They didn't have a way to transport it. They didn't know what to do. But they were given that offer, according to Carly and Steve. And then later, when Carly and Steve did ask about the dinghy, they were told that the Bahamian police had changed their minds and that they weren't going to release it.
I was thinking maybe they were going to allow Carly to
Billy Clyde,
take it
Billy Clyde.
around and kind of look
Where the
around
hell
some
did
of
Brian
the
Hooker
land,
put his
but
wife?
not physically
Well,
take
she's
it,
in a
take it
watery
back to
grave.
the United States. I didn't think that. So
Well, it was just odd, no matter how it was going to be used, that they had said, go ahead, take it,
Yeah.
as if to say it's just taking up space at our impound. Strange.
So I lost track. They still got the dinghy, or did the dinghy go to Florida where the sleuth's at? I don't know. Maybe the Bohemians got the dinghy, the Americans got the dinghy. Dingus County and Possum Hollow got the dinghy. The legendary Granny Sharkfin
It
is
is.
not here tonight.
There are a lot of people, and I'm sure you've seen this, locals, folks who are really committed to finding justice and finding Lynette. I wondered how that's landed with you, because many of them ask me to tell you, please give, Lynette's family, her mom and her daughter, our love. We're thinking of them at all times.
and I got to say thank you to all of them. I don't think I'd make it through this without all the help of
I don't know how she's keeping her composure. I couldn't do that.
all the people that have been helping everywhere. I've gotten anonymous phone calls, emails from people that I've never met
That there old lady is the mother of the missing woman, Lynette Hooker.
in my life, don't know them, that have been so heartfelt. Friends of my daughter's from when she was in school high school, have been getting in touch with me. So
That right there is one Christy McNichols. You might remember her starring in the show called Family. That's her right there.
it's just amazing how many people this has.
Along with Ellen DeGeneres back in the 70s right there.
I don't want to say inspired. That wouldn't be the right word. How it has
Affected.
affected so many
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Affected or
And
affected?
the folks in the Bahamas, so many of the locals that we talk to on a regular basis, and I dare say when I mean regular, I mean all day long, every day, we're in contact with people from the Bahamas, people with connections to the Bahamas, captains who are back and forth to the Bahamas, and they all say, "Tell me what we can do. Let me know. We're gonna get this solved. We're gonna help this family." I mean, that's got to be really heartwarming.
It is. I can't even express to you how good that,
They're not going to find the body. Those of you who watch Dexter like I do know what he did with the body.
how that makes me feel, how it helps make me feel. It's been a long time for me now. This what, about 6 weeks, and it's still like brand new.
Yeah, you're into the 6th week now. And, for people who are following along, sometimes they kind of lose track of that. But you're in this every day.
Every day.
And I
shark
can
bait.
only imagine, just having done the work
I
that I've
can't
done for
figure
so
out
long, and
The text,
interviewed
the chat's not
people
showing up
who
on
are
the
in
screen
your
tonight. I don't know what the
shoes,
hell's wrong
it's
with
a
it,
very
but-
lonely feeling.
The unknown. The unknown is yeah, it's lonely.
I can see it.
My
but
heart's broke.
It's not coming up on the
So,
screen.
yeah.
Well, I was glad that the gift of soulmate and the interdiction off the coast and the impounding of it at the Coast Guard station came on Mother's Day. I think you deserved one ray of joy, as small as it is, a ray of joy on that day. Speaking of that, I mentioned this on one of my episodes, but I said, if Brian wants us all to believe his story, if Brian wants us to think that what he said is true, then presumably Brian is a victim of a tragedy in which he would want to share this with family members. Have you heard a word from Brian Hooker?
I have not since the 6th. Carly has not. Lynette's father has not. So nobody in the family, my son, none of us have heard from him. So
And remind me, Brian was stepdad to Carly since she was what, about 3-ish? Is that about right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
not just, a tangential or distant relationship. This was like a father to her. I mean, he was like a father figure.
Right. Yep.
And he's
And
had
nothing.
no communication with her since the day that he said your mom bounced off, and very matter of fact as she described it.
Remember, she heard that on a voicemail, not from him, but on a voicemail. So
Right. Did she ever get an actual phone call, time with him on the phone?
I do think they did talk briefly, but only once that I know of. So, yeah,
And he never made another effort to communicate with anybody.
I figured maybe his attorney is suggesting that he not do that. But, like I've said before, if he's
What in the
innocent,
hell?
why wouldn't he be talking to us?
I mean, this would be a family tragedy.
See, normally
If he's
the
innocent,
chat should come up
if
right
what
above
he says
where it
is
says
true,
Billy
then
Clyde is
he's a
on the
victim
air,
too.
right in this area
And you
up
would
there.
think that you would want
And
to
it
be
is
with
not
family,
working.
commiserating, or maybe
Those
making
hookers are
plans, a
not
memorial of
related
some
to you.
kind, or
No,
maybe
they're
even a
not.
funeral, but nothing.
Nothing.
In my line of work and in
I'll have to fix that
jurisprudence,
chat later.
that's often described as consciousness of
You can
guilt.
see the chat on YouTube, you just can't see it on screen.
Okay.
I bet I don't have to
Me.
explain that to you, right?
No. No.
That lady,
Makes
I'm sure you
me.
could probably feel it.
bless her heart for being able to be in a good mood with
So
what
what do
she's
you
going
make
through. I
of
don't
Brian's
know. I couldn't do it.
actions ever since? How he's like virtually gone underground.
Well, I really have no idea where he's at now. I would have thought,
Yeah.
seeing as he had was bringing his boat back over to
He's in
Florida
Canada or
area, that
Perugia.
maybe he's in
He's gone.
Florida, but I don't know if he's in California, if he's in Michigan, or if he's in Florida. I've kind of heard all three. So I don't know why he is being so secretive. So if he's innocent, I would think that he would come forward and work on this together. I don't know.
He hit her on the
instead
head
of,
with a fucking oar.
basically
He's not
hiding.
innocent.
I mean,
Yep.
some people said they saw him in Michigan briefly.
Yep.
And
Paddle.
they hired that lawyer in Michigan.
In Michigan.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Doesn't
then
make you
he
guilty 'cause you
told,
hired
I
a
don't know,
lawyer,
anybody who
but
would
he is
listen that he was
guilty just
going
'cause I
to see
said
his
so.
sick mom in Sacramento, where his sister is as well, the same sister who was very quick to fly over to the Bahamas
Well,
and sit
what
with
do you-
him on the
What are you going to talk about Nancy Guthrie? They just got AI making shit up. There's nothing to say anymore.
porch of the Conch Inn for 2 days after Lynette disappeared. And neither one of them was out searching for Lynette.
Yep. And then in the text that I did get from him on the 6th, he said he was getting the dinghy back. And then the next day, his sister and brother-in-law were coming in. And after that, he was going to give the Coast Guard a couple of days to find Lynette. And then he was going to go out and look. And I'm thinking, why are you giving the Coast Guard 2 days?
Right.
Why isn't your sister helping look? Why haven't you called anybody to rent a
Sister.
boat? And then he was arrested. So then he couldn't do anything, of course. But then again, once he got out of jail,
Bang,
he left
zoom.
right away,
Ow,
even after
I'm outta
saying
here.
he was going to stay. So it just, none of it makes much sense to me.
One day he said, I'm going to
Yeah, his
stay
first
here until I
action
find my
upon getting out
wife.
of
And the
jail at
next
8 o'clock at
morning,
night,
he
the
got
next
a
morning,
visa
was
permission
getting
to
an
get the
emergency
hell out of
passport
town,
out of
and
there.
he was
At
gone.
the same time, he's interviewing with 3 major
He was
networks.
out like a possum in the
Major networks.
headlights.
So
Oh,
a strategic set of interviews to try to get his message out as far and wide as possible, saying that he'd never leave the Bahamas, he wouldn't leave without her. It would take a higher authority. Oh, I don't know what kind
Well,
of higher
and-
authority.
This fiasco shall end when I get tired, which I got to go to bed soon. We'll cut this off in 9 minutes.
to get him to leave Lynette. All the while, behind the scenes,
He had a ticket. It was
he's got a ticket and he's, well, I don't know when he bought the ticket, but he's getting his emergency passport to be like bouncing out of there not even 24 hours after those interviews.
Next time I got to put the phone number up there. Call in. You're on here live with Billy Clyde. What's on your mind?
Yep.
Fraser Crane
Doesn't
style.
sound like somebody who was so committed. The other thing, Darlene, was that he said to one of the fire and rescue representatives who
My God, she's still talking. Jesus Christ.
worked so hard trying to find Lynette with false information. You know, he'd said to the fire and rescue searchers that Lynette was only wearing a 2-piece black bathing suit. Never mentioned the royal blue Conch Republic headscarf or the aquamarine bathing suit cover-up. Never mentioned that.
Right.
Didn't mention the color of her dry bag or that she might have been wearing a black fanny pack. Nope, nothing like that. So he sent them all off on a wild goose chase without appropriate information, and for that they are none too happy.
He may have had some other things on his mind, like, I don't know, well, I just fucking murdered my wife and I don't remember the pink fucking fanny pack.
But, he said to him, where can I find a boat to rent so I can come out and help? And so the fire and rescue representative gave him the information of who to call to rent a boat to go out and search and help. And wouldn't you know it, when the fire and rescue personnel checked in with that representative, they said, we'd never heard from him.
Yeah. That's what I've heard. Yeah. I'm just hoping they find some of the clothing articles on the boat, if they made it back to the boat. So that would be pretty obvious that something else went
Matlock.
on other than what he said. Or finding Lynette
Shit-
and finding
shit
her on
like
the shore
Holmes.
somewhere
Ah!
would also kind of wrap up the story in a different way. So
Do you have a working theory yourself of what might have happened, what might really have happened?
All right, come on. They had an argument. He hit her on the fucking head with an oar. He took her out in the ocean. He threw her body out in the fucking water and came back and then made the rest of the shit up. Done.
when he talked
Done.
to me, he said that they had been drinking all day. And then when she went off the boat, he told me she was swimming.
You're live on
toward
the air with
shore.
Shitlock
We heard the boat
Holmes.
and everything else, but mine was the shore. and that he had thrown the thing to her, the
No.
floaty thing. Didn't know if she got it or not, and that he had
No.
lost sight of her.
Did he say if he called out to her and she responded?
No, he didn't say that. And there was no talk about the anchor or the rope that was in the boat. But the one thing he did tell me was that he shot off 2 flares from the dinghy, and that's all he had. So that's all he could shoot. And then later on, I found out there were 2 flares, but only one was fired. So that was a thing that didn't match to me. So
Interesting. So let me just, I don't think I'd learned that before. He said to you that he shot off 2 flares, but you came to learn that only one
right,
was fired.
right.
There was still one in the chamber? Like there was still one in that flare gun?
I'm not familiar with a flare gun, so how they work, but he said he shot it off twice. He said there were boats that went by, and he yelled at the boats.
Yeah, he can't
and
count.
neither boat stopped.
Can't remember the shit he makes up either.
And he
In the darkness? Like boats that went by in the darkness, he said?
Yep. And then he said that there was no lights, there were no boats, because it was the holiday weekend. It
Not
was
true.
Easter weekend, and so there were no boaters.
That's not true.
And so he couldn't get any help. He said when he went on shore, he went to 2 houses, and he pounded on the doors at 2 houses, and nobody came. And so that was the story that I heard. I heard that he stopped a car in the street, told the guy that he needed help. His wife was gone. He said the guy just closed the door and took off. And then that's when he ended up at the marina. So the story that he told me has a lot of different little legs to it than he told other people.
So
Well, they often refer to that as bullshit.
he told you that he pounded on other people's doors
Yes.
on Lubber's quarters and that nobody was there.
Well, I don't know if it was Lubber. No, this was once he
Oh,
drifted.
this is Marsh Harbor. This is
Yeah.
Marsh Harbor.
Yeah.
He told you that he pounded on the doors of
2
houses on Marsh Harbor and nobody responded.
Nobody responded.
And he told you that he stopped a vehicle where someone was actually behind the wheel.
Yeah.
And and he told them my wife is missing and the person.
So by now, if that really happened, the person in the car would have come forward and said, yeah, I kept going because I thought it was a fucking nut or something, but it didn't happen. So what are you going to do?
Drove
Just
off.
kept going?
Yeah. And then he ended up at the marina, and the guard at the marina got the thing wrong.
I solved
But
it already.
That's what he said.
He hit her in the head with a
Because he
fucking
told-
oar.
I think Blaine and his wife on that long recorded, hour long, I think, just verbal logorrhea that they just decided to record because there was so much information coming. They
And this guy just lost his wife, and he's talking completely normal. He's not excited. He's not upset. Yeah, well, she bounced off the fucking thing, and yeah, all right, well, I'm going to have a beer now.
didn't feel like they could write it down fast enough. But suddenly they started to realize how
Call up
sketchy it
Cav and maybe
sounded.
watch a football game.
He told them that he bushwhacked his way through all the rough
He
to
told
get
me
to the
that?
marina.
Well, he told me he had to go on the hard ground of the shore, that the shore was really sharp on his feet, and that he went through the bushes, and that he knocked at 2 doors. But because he emphasized again, because it was the Easter weekend, there was nobody around.
So I assume somebody would have went to those houses later to investigate and say, hey, did some dude knock on your door in the middle of the night?
He said the ground was sharp on his feet.
Yeah,
Was he barefoot, did he say?
he did not say, but
He just said the ground was sharp on his feet?
Yep.
Because when the rescuers came to get him that morning, they said he was wearing blue slides.
I don't know.
Couldn't have
He's going to have similar slides that will be orange once they get him into prison.
been too sharp if he had blue slides on.
You would think not.
Wow.
So, yeah, I've heard bits and pieces of stories, and they're all a little bit.
Brian Hooker says she bounced off the dinghy, which was an 8-foot dinghy with electric motor, and the weather was bad, the waves were everywhere, and she drifted away, and he couldn't get her, and one oar was gone, and they go back and ask everybody. The weather wasn't bad. There weren't any waves. The whole thing's bullshit. He hit her in the head with a fucking oar, took her out in the ocean, dropped her. That's it.
Bit different than what I had heard.
So I'm going back over this again. He says he was out on a road where there was a vehicle, and the vehicle stopped, listened to him, and drove away.
Drove off.
And there's a man who's supposed to be soaking wet, having just come in from being marooned in a tiny little dinghy in big waves, and the man didn't care, just
drove off.
Drove off. And then he goes off the road through the bushes to get to the marina, the boatyard.
He just told me that he had to go through all the brush to get to the marina, but that he had gone.
You see me looking around. I got
knocked on the
4
doors,
screens,
knocked on the doors,
so
and no one answered. And stopped
never
the
know where I'm
car
looking.
and told them that his wife was lost. And
I lost my wife.
I still don't understand going through the bushes if he's already on a road. If he's on a road that takes him to houses and cars are driving, why suddenly would he leave a road and go through this rough brush that he mentioned he had to
Well, it's called a shortcut there, actually.
bushwhack through?
Well, as the story went that he told me, he was at the road by the marina, and that's when he stopped the car, and then his next stop was the marina. So, and I would assume that the marina was going to be on a road too, but yeah.
I guess what he's now trying to say is that he bushwhacked through all the brush and the sharpness on his feet, whatever that is, and ended up on the road that eventually got him to the marina.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that makes a little bit more sense, because I'm thinking if he's already been on a road and he's already seen a car and houses, what on earth would he be doing bushwhacking after that? But this one, the sharpness on his feet, I'm not sure.
Why would a man want his wife dead? Where do you want me to start on that one? I don't know. He got arrested for choking the stepdaughter years ago. He's a choker. He gets pissed off. He grabs people and chokes them. They've had other cases of domestic violence in the past. She got arrested for punching him in the face. Wasn't enough evidence, so they all got out of jail. But domestic violence is in the past. It's in their history.
Can buy that.
He won.
If the rocks are very pointed, then maybe you can't be in your slides, but I think that would be a little safer than having sharp rocks on your feet. But that's an interesting little piece of information that I'm sure if there's an indictment and a trial, let's say, that will come up. That whole system of travel that he outlined for.
I can assure you, if they find the body and there's no head, or they find a head with no body, Scranny Sharkfin will surface in that conversation.
For you will come up.
Well, just like I couldn't argue with him because I don't know anything about the location. So where these houses were, I don't know in relationship to the marina or anything. But he said he went up to 2 houses, knocked on the doors.
And when the police asked him all these questions, he only answered 4 out of something like 94.
Nice.
Well, I think it's odd because, I live on a lake and in the summertime. And if you're in trouble out on the lake, night or day,
Flare,
and you raise your arm and ask for help, somebody comes over and helps you. That's just the rule of thumb. That's what you always do. Ever since I've been out here 40, 50 years. So when he said 2 boats went by and they didn't stop, I thought it was unusual. So, yeah, you asked me what I think happened. I hope this didn't happen, but I believe that they made it back to the boat. And they continued on with their evening, and they may have even had a few more beverages. I think they probably got in an argument. And from there, his choice is to choke, which wouldn't leave any evidence unless she fell down and cracked her head open or something like that. And then he had all that time to do what he thought was best with my daughter's body. That's why it's so important to me to find her. Yeah.
We're going to find her. I feel it. I'm not kidding. The amount of work that Lindsay and I have done on this case, the amount of research, the amount of detail that we have ferreted out.
Scoggied out.
I think we're going to find her. I do. And I think he's going to be indicted. And I think your theory isn't wrong. I will say this caveat: he's not been charged.
Right.
He's not been arrested in the U.S. He's a free, innocent man until proven guilty. He is not charged in this case. I truly believe he's a liar. I think he's a...
All that's fine, but they're not finding the body. It's in the ocean, eaten by sharks, sunk to the bottom, whatever. They're not finding the body. The whole thing is going to rely on what they found on the boat that they now have in custody, or whatever you call it, impounded. That's, if they don't get shit off the boat, they got nothing.
Filthy, stinking liar, the things that he's told, the hell that he's wrought upon you and Carly and everybody who loves Lynette, and there are so many who do, and even the people who don't know Lynette, the hell that he has brought upon everybody who has tried to find her, and those who have done what they can just to solve this crime, and I'll call it a crime.
All right, that's the 1 hour mark. I got to go to bed. I got to get up at 4 a.m. It's now 11 o'clock, 5 hours. We're only halfway through that interview. That woman rambles like Jesus Christ. Anyway, at least, whatever. Maybe we'll get to it. I went live tonight to show you the beginning. Go back and watch this recorded video from the beginning later. You see why we went live tonight. Haven't been live, haven't been on, haven't had any content, kind of getting behind. Got too much to do. We're at 1 hour right now. I'm Billy Clyde Tuggle. I'm out like a possum in the headlights.